This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast for this Monday, November the 27th. I hope you're having a great start to the week. Coming up in this forecast, we'll take a look how a couple of fronts moving off the eastern coast of the United States is going to bring some wind and rain to the Bahamas and portions of the Yucatan. I expect some heavier rain in areas of Central America and some spots of heavy rain through portions of the Caribbean. So a lot to get into in this forecast. I'll also have a few 5-day forecasts coming up at the end as well. But before we get started, I do have one very special announcement. You all know that Meteo Mundo means Weather World, and I'm very excited to announce a new video series coming right here to Meteo Mundo. It's called Worst Weather in the World. In this video series, I highlight the top 5 worst weather spots across the world each day. So if you are a weather lover and you enjoy the extremes, this is the video series for you. Now, this is in addition to the forecasting that we do for the Caribbean and the Bahamas. It's separate as well. So again, look for this new video series, Worst Weather in the World, right here at Meteo Mundo, coming up soon. Okay, let's get into our forecast here. And as we do so, if you appreciate getting these forecasts, I appreciate you clicking that like button. It really helps us out. It's a beautiful Monday for a lot of us here across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Nice, fair weather conditions rolling through most of the Caribbean. These are the fronts that I mentioned at the beginning of the video that is going to bring some big changes for some of our northwest areas. Let's start off with right now what's happening in the southwest Gulf of Mexico here. I'm going to switch over again to that visible satellite imagery. We are beginning to see some moisture flare up in these areas, and it's very clear to see that. So gathering moisture in the southwest Gulf, going to be streaming kind of north and east. It's just going to enhance the rain chance over the Yucatan and eventually pull some of that moisture through the Straits of Florida and even into the Bahamas here. And again, we have a couple of fronts that we'll be watching as well. Those fronts are trying to work their way basically through the area right now. Again, they're never going to fully make it this time of the year, but they'll try and get relatively close. They're the fronts themselves. And again, the one off to the south is a little bit weaker. The second one, it's very clear to see. Look at that visible satellite imagery. I love that. Is able to work its way deep into the Gulf. And certainly it's going to bring some big changes to portions of the Bahamas as well. We're going to get a brisk north wind coming out of that front beginning for tomorrow. Now, in the northwest portions of the Caribbean, of the Bahamas right now, it's a beautiful forecast. Skies are nice and clear, but again, there's a front just up to your north, so it's going to be bringing some pretty big changes your way. Again, the first front is basically just north of Walker's Key and Freeport, and as we speak, is working its way into the area. In the eastern side of the Caribbean, let me get back to that gorgeous visible satellite imagery here, the visible sat. And again, you can see it's fair weather clouds. Now, we are going to have pretty strong easterly winds throughout the week. There's not a lot of moisture in the western Atlantic, but we will get some spotty rain and then back down towards the ABC Islands and especially towards Trinidad and Tobago. A better chance for some showers there, but pretty good conditions expected for places like Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Hispaniola, and Jamaica. Now, you already see a good flare-up of clouds in Central America, especially for Nicaragua, Honduras, and Costa Rica. We've got some good rain chances coming their way as we move through the week. Okay, let's kind of look at the broad perspective of the rain here, all right? And we'll go over this over the next 7 days, over the next 5 days here, simply because I want to kind of keep this into what's happening for the week ahead, and we'll look at the weekend coming up in subsequent forecasts. But notice the moisture gathering in the southwest Gulf of Mexico, all right? That's part of the story to help bring us some additional rain chances for places like Cancun and Cozumel. Some of that rain is going to be moving over towards portions of the Bahamas. We're going to get some wind-driven showers there, and it's going to be a little bit on the wetter side from time to time. And then in Central America, we're going to get more moisture coming back in with some spotty, heavier rain along the Caribbean coastlines of Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Honduras. For the eastern side of our viewing area, again, some spotty rain driving through the Leeward Islands, but I don't expect a lot of rain for the week ahead. So let's kind of start breaking down where we're going to start to see some of these showers. I'm going to start off in the Gulf of Mexico because, again, big concentration of rain there. You can see some of that slipping off towards the south. So again, it's not going to be a washout for Cancun and Cozumel, but we're going to start to pick up some heavier rain conditions there, especially tomorrow and into Wednesday. And some of that moisture kind of lingering even into Thursday as well. So if you have travel plans to Cancun, it's going to be wet from time to time. Same thing for Cozumel. You get as far south as Belize City, it's a little bit more isolated in nature there, but some spotty rain is possible. On over towards the Cayman Islands area, again, a few showers early in the week, a little bit drier the rest of the week. And it's the same thing for Kingston. I've got the Kingston and Jamaica forecast coming up as I slide around here a bit, but you get the idea. You get a little bit farther south and east, not as much rain in the forecast for us there. All right, let's go over to what's going to be happening in the southern sides of the Lesser Antilles over towards Trinidad and Tobago. This is an area that I anticipate there could be some spotty, heavier rain. Now, again, it's going to be kind of each and every day. I don't expect there to be a big concentration, on a certain afternoon, but when we add this up cumulatively, I think there could be several inches of rain overall for places like Trinidad and Tobago. As you go farther north, it's really isolated showers. We could get some downpours, St. Lucia and Antigua and Barbuda and on up towards the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, but for most of the Lesser Antilles outside of the very far southern areas, not a lot of rain in the forecast for the week ahead. And again, relatively dry for places like Hispaniola. One thing I want to do here real quickly is I want to throw on these wind vectors. Okay, so this is the model's interpretation of the wind, but I can also add in the rain. So I'm going to switch over to the rain product as well, and we're going to put this into motion. So you're seeing two different products overlaid on one imagery, and the idea of this is to basically show you where the wind is going to be pushing this rain. So let me zoom into the Bahamas and we'll kind of take a look at this again. So as I zoom into this, and we'll back this up to early in the time period for this afternoon, it's going to be a strong north wind ahead of that second front coming in. Now we'll get some spotty showers. The winds are going to be picking up in places like Freeport and Marsh Harbor and Androstown and Nassau as we get into our Tuesday. Look at those winds freshen up. And again, you can easily clearly see the scale there on the top of your screen. The colors highlight the winds and knots. And again, we'll pick up a fairly fresh northeast breeze into Wednesday. Those winds turn out of the south and it gets warm and humid again late in the week. But I've got some low to mid 70s for highs in the Bahamas with this northerly wind. Now this wind will continue to kind of drive out of the north to northeast for the southern southeast Bahamas here, and even be a little bit fresher from time to time into our Wednesday, and then the winds will turn out of the southeast as well, all the way down to the Turks and to the Caicos. But notice again on this product that throughout the week across the Caribbean, we've got a nice easterly wind. And because there's not a lot of moisture off towards the west, I don't expect there to be a lot of shower activity because of that. So it's kind of a due east wind through Puerto Rico and Hispaniola and the Virgin Islands and the Leeward Islands and the Turks and the Caicos. Now, eventually, of course, this easterly wind is going to sub some moisture on shore, and that's where we're going to get the opportunity for some heavier rain in Central America. Again, I've mentioned the areas. It's going to be Costa Rica from San Jose up towards Managua, Nicaragua, then Tegucigalpa. Now, mainly eastern coastline. Some heavier rain for those more urban areas, but you can see that east wind and eventually that northeast wind as you get to the northern sides of Honduras, where we're going to see some pretty good rain. Roatan would be included in that. Scattered rain up towards Belize City with the easterly breeze there as well. And again, you get up towards the Yucatan area, and look how this batch of rain completely kind of flips these winds as we go through the week. Eventually, they're going to turn more out of the south to bring in more warm and humid air. But to start the week, we're actually going to have that northeast wind, and that is going to push in some of that heavier rain. So again, this time of the year, as I zoom out just to show you again, with these fronts coming in from the eastern portion of the United States, it can usher in some wind and rain. But then behind it, we can also get some drier air as well. And I'll show you that here. I'll switch back over to our satellite presentation and then go over to the upper level water vapor imagery. Again, east winds, relatively dry. We do have some of that moisture gathering in the southwest Gulf of Mexico, and then there's some drier air in the contiguous United States that will follow that behind. So it's kind of a succession of getting some rain, which means a lot of areas won't have consistent higher rain chances, but on certain days, that's when that rain could really start to impact the area. Okay, let's go back over to the total precipitation here. And I'm going to just go ahead and take this out to our Friday afternoon, which is going to be the 1st. And we'll take a look at some of the areas with some of the heavier rainfall totals. I'm going to go ahead and take off the wind layer here. So let's swing it back over here. And again, I want you to notice that when you look at our scale, you get into the whites and the grays and then kind of those pink and peach colors. Those are the areas that we could have some of the heaviest rain. Now, there could be an absolute boatload of rain in the southwest Gulf of Mexico. This will mainly fall offshore rather than along the coastline of Mexico. But you notice you follow this heavier rain. Now you start to get into at least a few inches of rain in places like Cancun and Cozumel. And I think that there could be locally higher amounts in this. I mean, here's a nice little 3-inch bullseye just south of the Cozumel area, but there should be ample moisture available in the Yucatan for some good downpours, especially Tuesday and Wednesday. We'll follow this down the Central American coastline. And again, places like Belize City, 2 inches of rain possible, the coastline of Guatemala. You get the idea that right along our coastal areas, including Roatan and the islands off of Honduras, you're looking at 1 to 2 inches of rain locally there. It actually gets to another maximum when we get down into what's happening along the coastline of southern sides of Nicaragua and Costa Rica and portions of Panama. Nice little bullseye there. I kind of already painted it on of over 6 inches of rain. That's over 150 millimeters of rain possible over the next 5 days. So that is one area that I'm going to be closely monitoring. Now, the ABC Islands, I think generally speaking, are going to avoid some of the heavier activity. Just a couple of spotty showers there. I already mentioned Trinidad and Tobago. It's going to be spotty. And I will say this, the last model run has been a little bit weaker with the rain, but I think, again, it's very localized. This time of the year, we don't have as much widespread heavier rain, but if there's an area here that I think could get some heavier downpours, it's going to be Trinidad and Tobago. Now, you notice again, because we have an easterly breeze, and the reason why I mentioned that is because you notice that the model is very adept at picking up on that east wind and paints on the heaviest rain along the eastern sides of Martinique, Dominica, and Guadeloupe. You get the idea. It's very understanding of kind of what that east wind is going to end up doing. Then you get as far north as Anguilla and St. Martin, places like that. Not a lot of rain. Same thing for our friends in Puerto Rico. We'll have a little bit heavier showers in Turks and the Caicos, but then back into the Bahamas. Again, it's very dependent on things. Now, I don't expect a lot of rain in the far northwest areas. This is going to be wind-driven showers tomorrow and Wednesday with the front. And then we'll pick up a little bit more moisture in the southern central Bahamas, where we could have a few spots of heavier activity there. So that's kind of the overall view of where I expect some heavier rain. Again, zooming back out, and that's a good shot of the world. Zooming back out, it's going to be portions of the Gulf into the Yucatan, the Caribbean coastline of Central America, breezy, heavy winds, and certainly the opportunity to kick up some surf and sea conditions in the Bahamas. And then I'll keep a close eye on what's going to be happening in the southern side of the Lesser Antilles as well. All right, let's talk about a few 5-day forecasts for you here in Grand Bahama. Big changes on the way. So breezy conditions today, but the high is still 82. Here comes our front tomorrow with a 30% chance for passing showers. Boom, 74, the daytime high for Freeport and Lucaya on your Tuesday. For Nassau, the high tomorrow, 75. Beautiful weather, gorgeous weather the next couple of days, Wednesday into Thursday, and then it will pick up that south wind. Here comes more moisture, 40% chance for showers, a high of 81. My friends in Kingston, in Jamaica, again, there's not a lot of rain coming your way, all right? I can't rule out a spotty shower in the afternoon hours, but there is nothing that's going to really bring a reprieve or an end to the heat and the humidity. Yes, even in late November, early December, it can get very hot and muggy in Jamaica, and that's the forecast for the week ahead. I've got daytime highs every day in Kingston over the next 5 days at or above 90 degrees. Just about a 20% chance for a passing shower, but there will be a lot of humidity and not a lot in the way of some cooling showers there. So again, I've already announced the new forecast, or excuse me, the new video series coming to Meteo Mundo, Worst Weather in the World. But again, Meteo Mundo is everywhere, friends. We're everywhere. Where to follow us? My Meteo Mundo on Instagram, Meteo Mundo on TikTok, Meteo Mundo on Facebook. And if you have some video or you have a picture you want to send us, maybe I'll include it in Worst Weather in the World. You never know. That's myMediaMundo@gmail.com. So a lot of areas that you can find us as we are in between these forecast updates. Again, thanks a lot, friends, for liking this video. If you want these latest updates and all the latest weather from Meteo Mundo, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Have a great rest of your Monday, and I'll see you soon right here at Meteo Mundo.